it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So as promised, this is going to be my extended video, and I'm going to look at Jupiter in Pisces, and it'll be Jupiter in Pisces twice in 2021, and then the following year, 2022, it will be in Pisces for pretty well all the year. I will go through the meaning of what I think this is. I will cover different dates and potential aspects that are important to note. I will go through the Sabian symbol. I'll also talk about some of the birthdays directly affected. And then I'll go into each of the ascendants and or sun signs. You should really read for both and then interpolate something that makes sense to you. All right, so let's start off with Jupiter in Pisces. It will go in at 0 degrees Pisces at 4 p.m. on the 13th of May 2021 until the 29th of July, where it will go back into Aquarius at 29 degrees of Aquarius. So basically it will go from 0 to 2 degrees plus some minutes twice in 2021. So it says to us we should probably pay attention to those time periods that I just mentioned. It goes back to 0 degrees of Pisces on the 30th of December, so we're literally looking at the end of December here. Now, this is a water sign, and it's mutable, and I think both these things in their own respects are good. So being a water sign, we know we're going to be feeling more, and it being in Pisces, we're going to actually have more intuition, more potential psychic energy, potentially messages coming out of the ethers, right? That's Pisces. And mutable means that we're more than willing to bend, to reconsider, as opposed to, say, a fixed sign, which would be, I'm not going to budge here. So these are positive things that we can look at with Jupiter in Pisces. Now on this day, the 13th of May, when it goes in at 0 degrees of Pisces, we have the moon, we've got Mercury, and we've got the north nodes of the moon all in Gemini, fairly close together actually. So this says to me that there's going to be some kind of message or messages about our destiny around this time. Now it could be collectively that, say, let's for an example use the USA, that this is a turning point of some sort where some great messaging goes out and information goes out that's really important for us in our destiny around the 13th of May. Let's just take the whole month of May 2021. But individually, you want to see where this is happening in your chart too, right? Because that will be important. Both the messaging that is going on with all the planets in, in Gemini, but also where 0 to 2 degrees of Pisces is in your chart. And in particular, obviously, we're going to be looking at the signs of both Pisces directly, especially the early born, and then also direct hit in the opposite sign, which of course is Virgo. So when we look at Jupiter itself, Jupiter, generally speaking, represents where we need to grow. And being in Pisces, on the surface, it says where do we need to grow with regards to our beliefs and our faith, and perhaps even our compassion. Okay, that's just a general, overall energy. So, also collectively and individually, Pisces asks us to grow and evolve our consciousness, to raise that up. And I suspect that 2020 was all involved with sort of breaking down some structures literally around us, metaphorically or literally, so this great consciousness could start entering in now in 2021 and hopefully beyond. Now there may be more a focus on the metaphysical, like death and life after death. Those are topics that may come up more. And then there may be more seeking of the truth in these areas. Individuals may be doing more about seeking meaning in life. I actually did a video on meaning in life. I'll leave the link below here just to maybe help you and assist you with that if you decide you want to do it. It really says with this whole Pisces influence that we're less materially oriented and we're more seeking peace of mind. Negatively, this says that we're praying for change when actually action might be needed. And of course, us individually, we have to make our own decisions on that. But action in some cases may be faster instead of just praying and praying and praying. I'm not saying prayer doesn't work, because I think it does. But these situations may come up, and you will have great, generally speaking, we'll all have great intuition. Pisces in particular, and of course Virgo in the opposite sign. But our collective intuition is going to be much higher at this time. And of course, if you're ever unsure about anything, ask people that you trust or experts that you trust before you make any big decision. So this gives us great compassion, where we learn how to help others. But you've got to remember that others also need to be responsible for their own life too. So don't get trapped in sort of a martyrdom type activity where in reality it's great to help people, but you really want to help them help themselves too. I know that makes sense probably to most people. Now, there has to be care with gurus, because certainly with Jupiter, espousing these great beliefs in Pisces, gurus could be stepping in big time in 2021, especially the latter half of the year, and then carrying through into 2022. I'm not saying some gurus in whatever area, they don't have to be in spiritual areas, by the way, are out there. They may be very useful and lead the people. But be careful about guru worship, especially if it assumes responsibility for their life instead of letting you have personal responsibility for your own life, right? What's great is when I looked at this, I thought, wow, there's probably going to be a big increase in the arts, especially music and dance. Sculpting, any kind of artistic works may start blossoming mid-year and be quite unique for us all. Poetry is part of this too, of course. So, if you look at Pisces, the original ruler of Pisces was, of course, Jupiter. In modern times, it's now Neptune. So if we look at the fact that Jupiter belongs with Pisces, that it rules Pisces, it's coming home. And that means that it's very comfortable here and enjoys being here. So the positive sides of Jupiter could be very prevalent at this time. But we also have Neptune ruling Pisces, and of course Neptune is in Pisces at this time too. And although they will not form a conjunction, we're really looking at Neptune in the latter part of Pisces, the sign, and Jupiter being at the beginning. It'll still be in there, influencing, just in a different way and not directly on Jupiter. Not until next year, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So together there's going to be an increase in sensitivity, psychic, intuition, perception, that type of thing. Now, as a sign, Pisces represents both the ending and the beginning, the alpha and the omega. So it's like this endless, limitless possibilities. And I gotta say it, it is also where magic happens, where miracles happen. So this is the positive side of Jupiter in Pisces. Miracles could literally happen. So nothing wrong with believing in miracles, and that magic can happen during those time periods I mentioned before. Now, in terms of houses, so houses, when we talk about houses, we're talking about the areas of your life. The house that Pisces rules is the 12th house. And so we've got this other layer on top of what I've just said regarding the 12th house. And that would be, it's the house of secrets, it's the house of self-undoing, it's karma, it's hospitals or hidden places, even ashrams. It's also hidden enemies too. So it's all these areas that could also be made bigger. And that's what Jupiter does too, right? It makes it bigger. It makes us want to grow, yeah. but it also makes things bigger. So potentially for some of us, collectively or individually, those areas that I've just mentioned could also be made bigger. I guess a typical one would be a big secret comes out in the latter half of 2021. That's very important to us as a collective. That is something simple that could happen, but the other areas are activated too. Now, Jupiter also rules things like small animals. And I just wanted to mention here that I have a small animal, and you'll see a picture here of Sasha. And it appears that Sasha has a tumor and has to have a CT scan as well as surgery. And I'm just asking if anyone could donate. I need to put together a few $1,000s to get this done. I have some of it, but I don't have all of it. This is a huge, expensive undertaking for me. If you do have anything that you can contribute, I'm putting a link here in the video as well as in my text box that takes you directly to the area where you can put in whatever amount of money that you feel you can donate to me. I would really, really appreciate it. I do all these for free. I do not have any advertising, and I'm happy to do that, but only for those that can contribute something to me. I would appreciate it. If you can't, please do not worry. There's many times when I couldn't give any money either. So small animals are very much part of the Jupiter realm. Mysticism, religion, and charity in the big picture are part of combining that Jupiter and Pisces together too. Travel is also indicated with a Jupiter, and in Pisces this could literally indicate travel on water. So maybe there will be some new initiatives with regards to traveling on water, and I guess those are, traveling by some kind of cruise line or boats may become a focus for whatever reason towards the latter part of this year, well, the last half of the year. But we also have the law and publishing. Those areas are also involved with Jupiter. And I guess at a collective level, we're looking at a greater government for our all worldwide. So the all would be the Pisces and also Jupiter to some extent. But Jupiter, of course, is, very much the world, right? The world we live in. And I think I've said this before in another video, but government for the world. And perhaps this truly will happen, where we really will have a more just, that's Jupiter, a government, that's Jupiter, for all, that's Pisces. That will truly be with great compassion, right? And I see compassion as a strength, not as a weakness. But it's certainly going to be the big picture. So that's what really Jupiter is going to be bringing up, is what's the big picture here. Now the fine details may come later, but it could be that, May to July or August, early August, we have some kind of big picture revealed to us. And then maybe towards the end of December 2021, that bigger picture becomes a little more refined, that can be implemented the following year of 2022. And I'll talk more about that as we get into that. And I'll delve into these, every month I do 2 videos, so I'll probably add more than what I'm adding here. This is just my, I do this all basically in one take, and it's my take on something that I think is important for us to pay attention to probably throughout this year. So what I'm going to do next is just talk a little bit about the history. There's a lot of history to go back on, especially with regards to Jupiter. Jupiter goes around the sun approximately every 12 years, so you could look back every 12 years. That's a lot of history to go back on. But individually, I would suggest that you go back at least, depending how old you are, at least one lot of 12 years. So go back 12 years ago. Now all the planets were in different areas, but it'll be Jupiter that was in Pisces. So go back 12 years and see what areas you were asked to grow, what areas were kind of illuminated for you, and maybe some areas that you had good luck, because Jupiter does want to bring good luck to you. I don't want to emphasize it too much to make people think that this is going to be, everything's going to be wonderful, because Jupiter can also highlight things, of course, like addictions. That's the other thing when we look at Pisces, right? Jupiter in Pisces says, let's look at the addictions here. So that's another area that collectively we could be looking at and individually be affected by. So some of the historic things I look back on, which I thought was really interesting, was, if anybody's old enough, I barely remember this one, but in July 1974, we had the impeachment of President Nixon, and he was asked to resign at this time. And of course we've got another one of those going on right now. Also in 1974, we had the first MRI being used. It was also, I didn't realize this, the first woman president ever in the whole world. President Perez was in Argentina, was voted in. I thought that was interesting. And then if we go back as far as 1939, World War II started, as well as a nuclear program was initiated at this time too. Now, if we look at a larger picture of Neptune, because Neptune takes 248 years to go around the sun, so no one's going to be alive when this happened last. And of course it was the Civil War in the USA, and I thought that was very apropos. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to be having another civil war. That was a pretty horrible war for people, but it could be, especially with the influence of Pluto, that there's going to be major transformation. Transformation isn't always necessarily easy, but it doesn't mean we're going to necessarily be taking up arms, but it doesn't mean that won't happen. But maybe it'll be a little more civil, not war, but war of words and potential actions. All right, that's the history in a nutshell. There's lots more. Anybody wants to remember other things, feel free to leave it in the comments and share. But what I'm going to look at next are just some of the birthdays that are directly affected by this 0 to 2 degrees of Pisces of Jupiter. So we're looking at the 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd of February Pisces birthdays. You will be most affected at this time. I'm going to talk about your sign in a couple minutes directly, but of course this with Neptune in there, in your sign too, although not directly conjuncting, this is a significant time for you to expand every aspect of your life. And it could bring some phenomenal good luck to you too. This is amazing, but with Neptune there too, you're going to have great psychic abilities. So Neptune and Jupiter together, you could have some real laser insights into something that is not obvious, that if you do it could bring you good luck. Talk about more about that in a minute for you Pisces. Now when we look at your opposite sign, so I always look at the sign something is a planet is in, and then I look at the opposite sign, because I think these are the strongest, besides a conjunction, which of course would be Pisces birthdays with Jupiter. I look at the opposite sign. And of course that's Virgo. So Virgo's birthdays is all August, and it's the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th of August. Now of course if you're looking at ascendants, we are looking at a Pisces ascendant from, I would take it from 0 to 3 degrees, is going to be affected directly from the 13th of May to the 29th of July, and then again for a short period of time from the 30th of December, all in 2021, and then a few days in 2022. So you can earmark those dates on your calendar, for especially for the Pisces and the Virgos having a direct hit from this Jupiter in Pisces. But of course, all Pisces and all Virgos will be affected in 2022 at some point. And as I go through the months in 2022, I'll bring up those birthdays that Jupiter is aspecting, and also the ascendants, so you can keep track of that. And I always do that in advance, okay? Now if you have a Jupiter return happening at this time too, this could just be an extra lucky and benefic time for you. Jupiter likes to bring growth, but it also likes to bring the goodies. So if there was a time when some great stuff could come to you, it's potentially at this time, especially for those directly affected. Now, it's conjunctions the strongest, followed by opposition. But we also have trines, and we also have squares, and we also have sextiles. And I'll talk about those in each of the signs as I go through them. But generally speaking, and I think most astrologers would agree with this, Jupiter doesn't really form a lot of bad aspects unless you've been hiding something or ignoring something that needs a big spotlight put on it, because that's what Jupiter will do. But overall, Jupiter loves to bring you great benefits, great opportunities, lots of goodies, lots of good luck. And so I would really try to harness this time as best I could. And, you know, really operate also in your higher levels of thinking, and to just put yourself into sort of a vibration that can accept these fabulous, lucky, benefic energies. All right. Next, I am going to go through each of the ascendants. I'd like you to read for your ascendant, and then you can also read for your sun sign too, because they are both important. So we'll start off with Pisces. Now, we don't often get a chance to start off with Pisces, so I'm glad I can do this, because it's usually the last sign. So I mentioned a little earlier, Pisces, about how this Jupiter being in your first house is going to bring you probably a lot of good luck. It's going to ask you to grow yourself. You may expand, so Jupiter can also be gaining weight. Ironically, it can also be losing weight too. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it can be both. And, you know, it's going to give, I think, it's going to really, though, I think, amp up any intuition you have or psychic abilities. Those are going to be like raised to yet another level, because we've got Neptune in your sign already, you know, giving you this high vibration of picking up stuff everywhere without even thinking. And then to have Jupiter in here expanding everything to do with Pisces, you're going to have kind of a double dip of that intuition. But on the negative side, if there's anything to do with addictions, codependent type things, it's also going to be highlighted here too. But with Jupiter there, it's going to be like an angel can swoop in, and it's a benefit time where you can actually benefit from people around you to give you what you need to overcome those addictions or codependence that you may have. So that's the negative side of it. But it can also be a great, if you are in the arts of any sort, now especially with voice and dance, poetry, that type of thing, this could all explode for you, where unexpected, beneficial things, beneficial people, money if you need it, all come in for you to support you in what you're doing in the arts. So this is a big growth area collectively for the arts, but it's also a growth area for you, Pisces. Now that's Pisces, rising and ascendant especially. Remember, rising sign and ascendant are interchangeable, right? They're the same meaning. So Pisces, I have great hope for you here to just have some very wonderful, lucky, beneficial things happen in your life. And a lot of times these things come in towards the end of the period. So especially for those that have your early born Pisces, maybe the manifestation may come towards the end of December, early 2022 for you, but there's going to be some indication when this first hits too. So it might be that lucky people come into your life, or out of the blue some situation comes your way and you say, wow, I don't know about that. Think about it for sure. But it could be your lucky break. That's the other thing that could happen for you, especially Pisces. I'll talk about you, Virgo, in a minute, because you could have some of that too. All right, Pisces, I am rooting for you. I would love to hear if you've got comments as this manifests, and share with us. All right, when we look at Aries, which is the next sign. So Aries, this is in your 12th house, and as I spoke about at the beginning of this video, Pisces actually rules the 12th house. Pisces is the last house in the zodiac wheel, right? So this kind of also gives a little bit of an extra emphasis for you, especially with regards to the 12th house itself. Now, it could be that you just need some rest. That's the other thing that the 12th house can actually illuminate, that you've been overdoing it for years, and this is your chance to just take some much needed rest and unplug from the world. That's what I got when I first looked at this. But it could also be that you decide to delve into mystic type subjects. It could also be that for some reason you get involved in things more behind the scenes or in hidden places like hospitals, but ashrams are also in that as well. For some reason, this is highlighted for you. Now, you may have to bring in some compassion with you with regards to the attitude that you have. You may start developing, for some reason, a greater compassion. And you may also connect more with the universe at this time, because Pisces is associated with the 12th house. And, Pisces includes everything in our world. But it's also our ability to maybe reach those realms of higher consciousness where you start literally figuring out ways to communicate more with your higher self through source energy. So I would say that's the best activation that's going to be happening for you here. But this also could, like I said, deal with maybe addictions as well. That could also be, it could be if you've got secrets, they may come out, or if secrets are held against you, those could come out as well. And at its most negative, I guess, with hidden hidden enemies, it could be that you discover something. Now Jupiter on your side is going to bring you, like I said, angels on your shoulders. But it could be that something comes out that you didn't know about, and that comes to light for you. That actually ends up benefiting you in the end, in some way. All right, when we look at Taurus is your 11th house. So the 11th house is your friends, your groups, but it's your hopes and wishes. And I think, wow, this could be, Taurus, a time for some of your hopes and wishes to come true. So I'm doing this in getting towards the end of January 2021. So what would I do? I would definitely polish up those hopes and wishes. And if you don't know what your hopes and wishes are, or you're confused about them, maybe really take some time here to define what it is that, as best you can, your hopes and wishes are for yourself. Because with Jupiter there, you could have those come true. Wouldn't that be awesome? But at more of a general level, you could have the Jupiter influence on friends and groups, where friends and groups become very lucky for you. Somehow they come in and swoop in and save the day for you, and you're very grateful that you belong to this group, or that you actually have these friends that are there to bring you great benefit. That's the big thing I saw for you. Now, you have Uranus here, and in your sign of Taurus. So Uranus will get up to around 13-14 degrees in 2021. So I guess it all depends what you have aspecting both Uranus as well as the 11th house where Pisces is, because you have here a very nice sextile. And of course sextiles are opportunities. So overall, Taurus, I would say you're going to have some outstanding, maybe unexpected, maybe unusual, out of the blue opportunities to have your dreams come true. And you won't hear me say that type of thing very often, but with this positioning of planets, so I'm talking about both the Uranus in your sign bringing unexpected big changes in your life, and then the 11th house with Pisces there and Jupiter bringing you potentially good luck and growth. This could be the time when at least opportunities come your way to manifest some of your dreams, probably through your friends and the groups that you belong to. And like I said, that whole Uranus influence in your sign, it could be unexpected. Sounds wonderful. Good luck, Taurus. Gemini. Okay, well, Gemini, all this year, you've got the north nodes of the moon in your sign. And remember that this is a cycle too. This cycle is approximately every 19 years. So this is a big turning point for Gemini ascendants and Gemini sun signs, where, just from the standpoint of the north nodes being there in Gemini, this is a destiny time where your destiny path is going to be is starting to be laid out for you in an obvious way, probably through people coming in, probably through events that are very lucky for you. And that's just the Gemini North Node thing. You have this Pisces Jupiter in your 10th house of career. Now, the thing is that it forms a square to this. So Gemini, as well as Sagittarius, squares Pisces. And as I mentioned earlier, generally speaking, most aspects with Jupiter, unless you're somehow susceptible for it, don't necessarily bring a bad thing with the square. It may be just that you've got to do a workaround or do some readjusting things that are challenging in your career. But because you've got the North Nodes there too, I would say you may have some adjustment in your career, but because you've got the Jupiter influence, it may be a lucky adjustment that you have to make. And because it's a North Nodes, if I were your astrologer, I'd be saying bear with it, figure out a way to think outside the box when it comes to your career, because this big influence of the North Nodes of the Moon in Gemini are putting you on a destiny path for about the next 20 years, where then these North Nodes will visit your sign again. So this could be a big year for you in terms of your career, Gemini. And so I would pay attention to whatever comes into your life with regards to your career, basically. Now, it is also your big goals as well, but I get the feeling that this is your destiny with regards to your career. Don't see an obstacle as the end of pursuing something. I'm getting this really strongly for you, Gemini, that you need to take obstacles as a way to surmount them, because you're going to get all the help here to do that with Jupiter and the North Nodes in your sign. Take care, Gemini. All right, Cancer, this is you next. Now, you have the 9th house activated with regards to Jupiter in Pisces. And of course, the 9th house, as a house, is ruled by Jupiter. So this adds a little kind of nice sheen to your the influence of Jupiter in Pisces and the 9th house. This could be a time when you get to publish, whether it's a dissertation or an actual publication or a book. It could be something like that comes up for some of us Cancers. The 9th house also rules things like law. It is travel. It is foreign people, foreign things. So all those areas could be activated as well. You don't have a direct aspect happening with this, so it just kind of sits on its own, this Jupiter in Pisces, activating your 9th house. And so those areas that I've just mentioned could be very favorably activated for you. And certainly if you are thinking of, say, traveling or publishing or going abroad, these time periods that I mentioned to you may be extra special lucky for you. Let's go over those again. 13th of May to the 29th of July, 2021, as well as literally the end of December 2021, and then the first week, of course, 2022. So harness that, knowing those dates. If you are, say, planning a trip, this is what I would do, or publishing a book. Look to those times as having some lucky breaks and expanding your horizons, right? Growing by going out into the world. Jupiter's all about going out into the world, the big picture, that type of thing. And for those that are going back to school, this could be a lucky break for you too. Depending, I guess, if you're, say, applying for something for a university placement, it starts around the 13th of May, so you may get some very good news right out of the blue that facilitates you maybe getting into a university, or maybe even completing something. Leo. Leo, it is your 8th house. And the 8th house is a hidden house as well. It is where we look at our resources from the standpoint of shared resources. So this can be loans, it can be investments, it can be 401ks, it can be shared checking accounts or bank accounts. It can be credit cards. What else can it be? It can be our psychological self as well. And now there's no direct aspects with regards to you, so it's just the 8th house we're looking at. And so because we've got Jupiter there, it's asking us to grow here. So it might be that you get approved for a loan. This would be like a surface typical thing that might happen to somebody, where you get approved for a loan that you maybe didn't think you'd get, and just by luck, you get this loan that you want, and you start using that. It could also be that you start up some therapy, for instance, where you start examining your psychological beliefs and philosophies, and you start changing those as a result of some kind of therapy that you were doing. Or even just a self-examination of what are my beliefs, how do I feel about foreign people and foreign things, just even that's Jupiter. And you looking at these and expanding, right, your horizons with regards to how you think about them. But it's a lucky influence, Leo, right? It's going to expand those areas for you. Like I said, you could also, I mean, the best thing that could happen, and it's not going to happen to everybody, is an inheritance comes in, right? Jupiter is like Santa Claus, and very much wants to bring you goodies. So for some Leos, this could be an inheritance comes your way, maybe even unexpectedly, perhaps maybe even out of the blue. That's very lucky for you. Yeah, Jupiter also rules the law too. So it could be if you say are involved in some kind of back and forth with regards to maybe an investment that went wrong, and maybe lawyers are brought in, that some kind of lucky thing happens for you with regards to this case, if that exists. And again, I'd go back to those dates that I spoke about. 13th of May to the 29th of July, and then the end of December 2021, as being particularly sensitive with regards to luck coming in these areas or expansion in these areas. You're next, Virgo. And I spoke about Virgo when I spoke about the first sign I covered, which was Pisces. Virgo, you are opposite Pisces. So that's a very strong energy that's put forward with that type of configuration, the opposition. So it covers your 7th house, and the 7th house is kind of other people. Usually that's your partner, whether it's a business partner or your marriage partner. So something could come up that is, and I kind of got this, something could blow up, but it could blow up for the good. And I would say that because it's your 7th house, somehow you're either going to grow your partnerships, expand your partnerships. Say you've got a business and you decide that you want to expand your business partnerships at this time and bring more people in. Maybe even if it's a law firm in particular, because Jupiter rules the law, bringing in more partners at this time could be very lucky for you. Use that time period, 13th of May to 29th of July and the end of December 2021, as time periods where they'll be particularly sensitive to bring in good luck partners as well. Maybe even bringing in money for you regarding partners as well. But it's going to be more to do with the partner. Your partner may actually have an inheritance come in for them, for instance. They may start expanding their spiritual dimensions and influence you through that way as well. If you, in your job, have clients, kind of like what I do, then this could be also an expansion of your client base. That's the other thing that could happen here too, where you may expand, say, to foreign lands, involve foreign people. They may come to you and ask you, can you work with me with regards to getting your, say, messaging out to a foreign land of some sort, or a foreign place, foreign city of some place. So that may happen for you too, Virgo. Yeah. You don't have any, well, you do have an opposition, like I said. So this can also set up a little bit of tension where something may be happening to your partner that that just requires some focus from you. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. And with Jupiter there, whatever it is, when it's let go, may be very beneficial for you. Sometimes these things aren't obvious to begin with, Virgo. But for you, especially, there may be with an opposition a little bit of tension. It doesn't mean it won't turn out. You've got to believe. That's the other thing with Jupiter, right? At its highest level is you've got to have belief. You've got to believe that good things can happen. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be realistic. But Virgo, you tend to be very realistic and very down to the facts. Does this serve me or does it not? Sometimes having a belief that magic can happen creates magic. So let it happen. Libra. Libra is your 6th house. And the 6th house covers a lot of things. Generally speaking, we talk about it as the house of health. But it's kind of our day-to-day existence as well, because it's our day-to-day job. As apart from, say, the career, which is the 10th house, this is what I do. I get up every morning, I get in my car, I go to work. Or nowadays, I get up, I stay in my pajamas, and I turn on my Zoom meeting. So whatever that is, as well as health. So that refers to nutritional health, as well as exercise, that type of thing. And so here, we could see some expansion. So maybe your job is going to, maybe you're a sales rep. Maybe what's going to happen is your territory expands and you have to go to a lot more places, or your territory changes where you actually have to go. Or the foreign aspect comes to play, where maybe your firm is taken over by a foreign company and now you've got to travel on a regular basis to a foreign city or foreign country. And that now becomes part of your job. That's one thing that could happen too. It could also mean that you expand what you do in terms of, say, your workouts that you do for keeping your body in shape. Maybe you'll take up bodybuilding. That's another big one here, taking up bodybuilding. Maybe even entering bodybuilding contests. Wow, I don't know, that just came into my head. So this is also small animals. So you could, wow, that's a hit I'm getting for sure. Small animals could become very important for you in your life. Maybe you will actually take on some small animal that really gives you kind of a new lease on life in terms of beliefs and compassion and feeling really good about what you're doing. So maybe you'll go to a shelter and actually, you know, find an animal that you really are drawn to and you adopt it. That would be an awesome way to use this. Jupiter and Pisces in the 6th house in your sign. But you could also take up some nutritional program that, or you expand this, or your job becomes any of these areas, right? Your job could be working with small animals, and that increases. Your job could be doing some form of nutrition or exercise. And maybe there's an element of good luck that happens for you. Maybe Jupiter comes by and drops some goodies your way too, or sprinkles some fairy dust on you. So that's the 6th house. I would say overall, something's going to expand with regards to your day-to-day activities. You may have to take on more of. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad either with Jupiter there. You'll have to take on more for whatever reason. Good luck, Libra. So we have Scorpio next. Now Scorpio, I just want to remind you that literally towards the very end of this year, and then of course for the next year and a half, starting in 2022, you will have the south nodes and the north nodes aspecting you. So this will be an important time for you in terms of your destiny path, really starting in 2022. So if I were a Scorpio rising or Scorpio sun sign, I would take this year 2021 to really take some time to look at, do I feel I'm on my destiny path right now? What things would I like to come in to get me on my destiny path? If I had all the money in the world and I was the healthiest, youngest person ever, nothing in my way, what would I be doing? And that you need to be asking, because you're going to get opportunities in 2022 for a year and a half to have those people, events, and things come in for you. So this is an important year for you, Scorpios, to be thinking about what I've just spoken about. Let's get back to where this Jupiter in Pisces is in your 5th house. Well, the 5th house, wow. Now this forms a nice aspect too, so you've got a trine happening here between Jupiter in Pisces and Scorpio. So this is favorable energy. This isn't just opportunities. This is just like things coming to you. So with things coming to you, you can also not see them. That's the negative part of trines, that it's so easy that... So I would say that above all, you could have a new love. If you're needing a new love in your life, this could be an awesome time with Pisces there too. This could be a new love that has a strong spiritual, compassionate side to them as well, that you really feel maybe even magnetized towards, right? You feel this is a soulmate coming in. So again, the time period is 13th of May to the 29th of July, and then the end of December. But of course, depending what planets you have in your sign, Scorpio, this could also affect you all in 2022. So take a look where your sun is. Certainly if it's between 0 and 3 degrees of Pisces, you're going to get a direct hit on those dates that I've just mentioned. But you can also have something happen with Jupiter in Pisces in 2022 as it goes through, right, from 0 degrees to 30 degrees. So take a look to see what planets you've got there. Typically you would have certainly your sun, but you may also have your Mercury there too. And of course for ascendants as well, if you've got your ascendant in Scorpio between 0 and 3 degrees, you have a direct hit in the dates that I've been mentioning here. But the 5th house is also children. So you could have some benefits, if you've got children right now, benefits through a child. It could also be a lucky time to start a business should you be thinking of doing something like that, Scorpio. But underneath all this, the 5th house really asks us to express our authentic self. And typically we're asking for the authentic artistic self. So this might be a lucky time where you get an opportunity, maybe a project comes your way where you are the perfect person to do it. And you're able to do it through all of who you are. By expressing who you are, you can project whatever it is that they're asking you to do, right? So that's the essence of the 5th house, is expressing your authentic self and artistic self. But that you also have children and love affairs involved in this too, or especially new love and true love at this time. So look forward to maybe new love for those Scorpios that are looking for it. It's an awesome aspect to have. And of course we've got Neptune shining brightly also in Pisces. So if you've got any planets in Scorpio, that Neptune might be trining. So that would be anything between say 18 and 22 degrees of Pisces. That could also add an extra bit of magic, as well as like kind of fated type things, as well as this feeling that it's, especially from the love standpoint, this feeling that it's something that really resonates inside your soul and your heart, like a soulmate type thing. I also just got this impression that you could, using your authentic artistic self, work with the compassionate side of this whole Jupiter in Pisces, which is your 5th house, and maybe put together some kind of worldwide compassionate program of some sort that reaches out to many people in the world. I cut that for you too, Scorpio. Good luck. Okay, so we come up to you, Sagittarius, and of course Sagittarius, you know you're ruled by Jupiter. So the fact though is that Pisces squares your sign. I don't really see this as a negative thing for you, Sagittarius, but it does square your 4th house. So it could mean, I guess at its worst, that you could have something as bad as flooding in your home because Pisces rules the seas. It could be that something that was hidden from you in the house comes up to say, hey, you got to solve this now. So something regarding the house could provide a challenge at its most negative. and involve you in getting it fixed. It might be water that's involved. There may also be something that comes in that involves foreign people and foreign things. Maybe you're required to move for whatever reason, and you've got to sell your house. Even though it's a square, Jupiter aspecting this could actually provide you with some real good benefits, both with regarding moving the home as well as maybe selling the home or solving whatever problem is in here. The important thing with squares is to always think outside the box. Just when you think there's no way I can solve this problem is the time when you have to sit back and actually do meditation, try to connect as best you can with Source and your higher self, and see what messages come in, right? I mean, at its highest, Pisces is supposed to represent God, Source, the universe. Might be a time to be asking for something from the universe. And with Jupiter there, you may just get the answer that you need and the help that you need. Now, the other thing is, too, that you may get released from something in the home, or something leaves the home that is good for you. And this could be people leave your home that maybe were creating a problem, or you leave the home and are able to, maybe this is you going abroad. I'm deciding I'm leaving my home and I'm going to take that trip around the world. It could be that too, and that you've just got to figure out the details with the square. So pay attention to the details, Sagittarius, and know that you can solve the problem. With Jupiter there, you can solve the problem, but you may have to reach up into the higher realms to get the answers to how you're going to be doing that. The fourth house also, to some extent, rules your family, and in particular your mother. Maybe your mother is going to become some focus for you in some way. Maybe you've got to be more compassionate with her for whatever reason. Now, you have the south nodes of the moon for all of 2021 in your sign. And of course, by association, the north nodes are in your opposite side of Gemini. So you also are having some kind of destiny reboot here. So on top of this happening, you also have the whole destiny path thing happening for you as well. So I would say that this could be a very lucky time for you, even though we've got the square, because you've got the north nodes opposite and your south nodes. A good time to let go of things that no longer serve you, for sure. And what might those things be at this time? Your habits. Maybe the habits that you've picked up through your childhood, maybe through your mother or your family, that now you have to, or that you decide to, change those habits and get rid of them once and for all. And I'm getting this intuitive hit that once you do that, poof, that then helps this whole destiny path that's supposed to be laid out for you for the next 19 or 20 years manifest itself more easily. Use those time periods, right? May through July, early August, and then the end of December as time periods to harness that type of energy where you make those changes where you need them in your habits, right? But you know, with Jupiter there ruling your sign, yeah, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong in fourth house activities. Take care, Sagittarius. So for Capricorn, we have your third house. And this is basically, so we've got a sextile here. So this is some kind of opportunities coming your way with regards to third house matters. Now, third house on its own really just talks about communication styles. It could be that you decide to change up the way you communicate, whatever it is, or how you present yourself when you present things, or you get opportunities to present, or to change some kind of way of communicating, your communication style maybe. But it could also be a time when there's opportunities for you to communicate more with your siblings. Things start coming up that require you to be in touch with them more. It also talks to expansion of your neighborhood. So this could be just that maybe there's another subdivision that goes in close by to where you are that makes your neighborhood a lot bigger. That's what I'm thinking here. But you still have Pluto in your sign. So whatever expansion does happen, it'll be part of that Pluto element too here in your sign, which is all about your transformation, right? Transformation on every level. But there may be some good luck opportunities for you, maybe even to change your neighborhood. Maybe you decide at this time that this isn't the neighborhood you want to be in, and some good luck opportunities come up for you to change. Yeah, so if you're thinking of maybe changing where you are at, your neighborhood, this could be a very favorable time for you, Capricorn. But with the influence of Pluto still there, bear in mind that you're still undergoing transformation, and Pluto will be in Capricorn for a number of years still, and then it'll leave your sign. So go with the flow. If, you know, there are bigger things coming into your life that require you to make some big changes, I would say don't resist those changes. That look at it more as an opportunity to transform yourself in a positive way. That's what I'm getting here for you. All right, we end with the last sign. And the last sign is Aquarius. So Aquarius, this is your second house. And the second house really talks about your money that you make. It's also your values, it's love. You've also got Saturn, which is here, and then Jupiter. So by transit, Jupiter and Saturn are both in Aquarius too. So it all depends where your sun is, and if you've got any other planets like Mercury, where that is in your sign. But you could have a big activation here in terms of the money that you're making. I'm just thinking that you, with the influence also, on top of the Jupiter in Pisces forming in your second house, because you also have in your own house, your first house, you've got by transit, you've got through most of the year, Jupiter will be in Aquarius, don't forget. So only these few time periods that will be in Pisces. So most of the time you're going to have Jupiter in your sign as well as Saturn for the next couple of years. Jupiter will only be in there until the end of the year. I just look at this as lots of opportunities and expansion with regards to definitely earning more money. So look for opportunities where you can earn more money, get better opportunities and better jobs. I guess if I were picking a time period of looking for a job, this could be absolutely ideal, because with Saturn in your sign, there could be longevity with that too. Now, it could also be that you have a complete overhaul of your values, or what you value, like physically value, comes up for you. And it could be a time where you start accumulating valuable things, you know, and those things may be foreign things for you as well. Maybe valuable art from the Ming Dynasty or something, right? That's foreign. Or you could maybe get a job with a foreign company, or foreign people come in to offer you more money in a job. Yeah, that could happen too. Well, good luck, Aquarius. All right, guys, thank you so much. You know, I always value everyone's opinions, what they have to say, so if you've got them, please put them on. I love to hear from you, you know I do. I hope you enjoyed this. You know, you'll see me back for, I guess it'll be March, I'll be doing next, March 2021. I just want to mention again my little doggy Sasha. If you have anything that you can potentially donate to her CT scan and surgery, I would very, very much appreciate it. If you can't, please do not feel guilty if you cannot. I certainly understand that. I personally understand that. But I'll leave the link again in this video as well as in my text box. If you can donate anything, I would very much appreciate it. Thank you, and I'm wishing everyone good luck. I feel very optimistic, by the way. We just had the inauguration yesterday, and I just felt very, very optimistic, and that this truly was turning a page, a chapter, a corner, whatever you want to call it. We're turning it, and I just feel very, very hopeful, and I want to pass that on to you too. Believe that things can get better, and that they will get better, and for us collectively as well as individually. I can always do your chart, love doing charts too. I leave a link here to my website. Contact me by email to give me your date of birth details and to set up a time that we can meet. I do Zoom, Skype, whatever you want to do. Some people just like me to record it. Take care. Bye for now.